Yes, you. Yes, you. I'm talking to you in particular. Hold it right there. Don't go nowhere. You want to click away. I see you. Why should you click away when I'm here sharing with you some good stuff? Hi beautiful people, you're welcome back again to my channel. My name is Naya Vali and this channel is called Abby's on. In today's video, I'm going to share with you a few differences between Ghana and Hungary in terms of living, in terms of culture, lifestyle, and just everything around it. So if you're interested in seeing and listening to this content, kindly stick and stay and watch through till the end of the video. To begin with, if you've been watching some of my videos, you know I've schooled in Hungary and I've been living in Hungary for the past 3.5 years. So I think I'm in a good position to share some of my opinions on these issues. Anyway, if you're new to this channel, you're welcome. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. Who am I that people would actually come back and watch my content? I'm really happy and humbled to have you here. Anyways, without further ado, let's get on to point number 1, transportation. In Hungary, there are several modes of transportation. We have the trams. We have several tram lines. We have tram 4, 6, tram 2, but there are several tram lines you can travel with. We also have the metro lines M1, M2, M3, M4, and we also have several buses, the blue buses, the red buses, and we have the heaves and trains, as well as taxis running in this country, and they are very timely and they sync with what you see on Google Maps. For example, you type into Google Maps that you want to move from point A to point B. Google Maps is going to show you that, okay, you can get to point B through this route, or you can get to point B through this route, or you can get to point B through that route, and also give you the number of minutes you are going to get there in. And this is actually always correct. You pick your bus and you get there at the time Google Maps told you it will get there, most often than not. So that's one thing I enjoy about Hungarian transportation. Like, transportation is very efficient and I give them 2 thumbs up for that. Like, you can rely on their transportation system. There are very little hiccups, and most of these trams are very tidy. You are not allowed to eat in it, you are not allowed to drink in it, you are not allowed to leave rubbish anywhere. And even if you are bringing your animals on, like your dog, they should have a muzzle on. They're very particular about neatness, and most of these trams are tidy. Generally, comparing it to Ghanaian transportation is more tidier, I would say. So these are the means of transportation in Hungary, and if you should tell somebody you're going to get there in 5 minutes, believe you me, you're going to get there in 5 minutes. Now in Ghana also, we have several modes of transportation, but one of the main modes of transport, we don't have trams in Ghana, we don't have metro lines and subways in Ghana. No, what we usually have in Ghana is what we call trotro. A trotro is like a minivan. They also call it 207s in Ghana, and the commonest means of transportation is the trotro. But unfortunately, the trotros in Ghana do not run on time. They don't run within time anyway. But I'll get back to that. Aside these trotros, we also have taxis. We also have trains, which are not commonly used. Like, the last time I used a train in Ghana would be when I was a kid. When I was a baby, literally, my mom told me we were on this train when I was some months old. I was like, oh really? I actually have no idea or no memory of it because it's been long. And trains are not really a very common means of transportation, even though we have some trains running in and out of Accra, but it's not a main means of transportation. The trotros, the taxis, and obviously your private cars, like in Hungary, if you have a private car, you're also good to go. But with the public modes of transportation, they are not run according to time. You can't even check it on Google Maps and then they'll tell that this trotro is moving from here. No. Maybe you can do that with your Ubers and Bolts, but with the trotro you can't check and then the trotro will tell you. In fact, even the directions in Ghana, I don't think they are well updated in Google Maps, especially when it comes to street names and all of that. We don't give directions according to street. For example, in Hungary, you can say you're going to Blaha. Okay, so Blaha is after Vesheleni if you are going towards Morik Zigmore, or Blaha is before Kirali if you're going towards Sel Kalmante, right? If you're giving directions in Ghana, you can say, okay, so when you get down at Nyameche Junction, you go straight, you go on, then you see this Coca-Cola at the right side of the road, and you keep going till you see Mambo Spot, and then you keep going till you get to Fadama Junction. There's a tree there, and right next to the tree that is the place. You see, so giving directions also in Ghana and Hungary has its differences based on the street naming and all those things. Anyway, I digress. Back to the matter. Now the thing with churches is that they are mainly private owned. They are not owned by the government, so they want money, and you need to pick more people in order to get more money. So there are some which move from one station to another station, or there are some which just move from wherever to wherever. Now in this situation, for instance, you can actually pick a bus, you can pick a church anywhere. You don't necessarily need to pick the church at your bus stop, because I have experienced situations where, let's say I'm walking along the road to my bus stop to pick the church, and I'm not near the bus stop, but this driver or this mate, I also have to explain that we have a driver and a mate. A mate is basically the conductor, so he tells the driver which next stop to stop, okay, and he also takes money from the passengers. Now with Hungary, nobody takes your money except you are not able to buy your ticket from the vending machines before you enter the car. You can buy directly from the driver in the bus. And if you need to get down at a stop, you actually just press a button and then it alerts the driver, and then he stops at the next stop. So nobody's shouting and telling the driver that bus stop, Mango Junction, Blue Kiosk, Bola Junction. Nobody's doing that. But in Ghana here, the mate, that's the job of the mate. So the mate usually has his hand hanging outside the car, and then if he needs to stop at the next stop, he just bangs on the car, bus stop. And then you know that he's going to stop at the next stop. So if you don't hear the mate do that, that means nobody is stopping at the next stop, okay? So that's what usually happens. And the mate also collects the money from the passengers in the car. And I think the mates in Ghana do a very good job, because you actually have to remember all the people you took the money from, how much you took from them, and how much change you are going to give to each and every person, and where each and every person is supposed to get down from. Like, I think it's a very, very intelligent, it's a job that requires some level of intelligence, and I give them the kudos as well. So that's what happened. So now I was walking, and I wasn't at the bus stop where the bus is supposed to stop, but I've experienced situations where the car just stopped for me. Sometimes they can stop in the middle of the road, and that's where you hear all the horns, honking, beep, 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 beep. Yes, and that's also one of the differences in Ghana. I barely hear horns being honked in Hungary, but in Ghana, from the beginning of this video till now, I would have heard about 100 different horns honking. Like, people honk for fun. I think people press their horns. People blow their horns in their vehicles more than they press their brakes. Like, I kid you not, okay? So then you can be picked in the middle of the road. You can be picked at the bus stop. You can also be dropped before your station. You can be dropped before your bus stop. And even there have been situations where I'm in a junction which is about to enter the main road. So this is the main road, and this is just a tiny junction where I'm coming from. And let's say I'm walking, and then I get to this part of the junction, and I have maybe 2 minutes walk to the stop, and you'd see the driver's mate coming this way, and then he looks at me and he's like, I'm sure this girl is going to my direction. They'll be looking at you, madam, are you going? Madam, are you going? In the local language, madam, are you going? And sometimes I really don't want to rush, I really don't want to run, so I just ignore them, or I pretend not to see them, or I just tell them no, I'm not going. Meanwhile, I know I'm going where they are going, but I don't want to be under any pressure. I want to comfortably walk to the station or to the end of the street and pick my car. But some stubbornly would wait for you till you get there, and then okay, rather I just hop into it and then we go. You see, so sometimes they can wait for you, and all this is time consuming, okay? In Hungary, if the bus is supposed to leave at 10:50, it's leaving at 10:50. Whether it's 1 passenger, 2 passengers, 0 passengers, it is going to leave. But in Ghana, they want to load their vehicles before they leave. So imagine you are picking this church, and then it requires 40, okay, let's say it requires 20 people before it moves, and then you are the only one there. You're going to sit there for as long as it will take for all the people to come. Sometimes it gets frustrating, then I ask them, mate, are you not going or not? Or even there have been situations where I see, maybe I'm in the car and then the driver is still loading, and I'm also in a hurry, and then maybe I see another car coming behind which is going to where I'm going. I just get down and then I pick that one, and then you can see the frustration and annoyance of the mate's face, just like, I'm like, yeah, I'm in a hurry. So that's one of the things which makes it also difficult for times to be kept, because you can tell somebody that, oh, I'll get there in 20 minutes, and now this is this car filling up his car. He will stop, make sure he stops at every stop, or stop everywhere he can, so long as somebody's coming to board the car. So Ghanaian transportations, unfortunately, are not as timely as Hungarian transportation. They are not as efficient as Hungarian transportation. Some of them are not as tidy as Hungarian transportation. Sometimes you be in a vehicle and you find something around your legs, and you check, and it's maybe some plastic bag or something. And yeah, so when it comes to transportation, I kid you not, Hungarian transportation in terms of neatness and time, even though the Hungarians don't agree, well, comparatively, I really enjoy the Hungarian transportation. They're very timely, and you can actually give your word to somebody and go according to your word. Like, this is also one of the ways it affects timeliness as well, because in such a situation you can actually tell somebody that, oh, I'll get there in 10 minutes. You get there in 10 minutes. You tell them, oh, I'll get there at 4 p.m. Okay, fine. But in the case of a Ghanaian transportation, you're likely to say, oh, I'll get there at 4:35 p.m. Yes, it happens, okay, but not disputing the fact also Ghana is making great strides in this transportation system. There are more vehicles coming aboard, there are more private entities coming aboard with their vehicles, and government is also making great strides. We also have long distance buses, just like Hungarians have the regional buses and all that good stuff. The second thing I like to compare is buying grocery shopping. So before I came to Hungary, in Ghana, when you want to buy something, you actually go to the market. You go to Kanishi market, you go to Makala market, wherever open market, you just go and then you buy your stuff. You buy your pepper, onions, tomatoes. You go to the butcher, you buy your meat, your whatever kind of meat you get, you buy it. Okay, in Ghana, I didn't used to shop for groceries in the supermarket or in the mall because I found it to be expensive, and I thought it was only rich people who shopped from those places. So when I came to Hungary, I wasn't buying my tomatoes and onions from no supermarket because I had the mentality that those were very expensive. So I totally avoided them, and so I used to go to the main markets like the central market, the Vasha Sharanok, and that was why I was usually buying my stuff, because I used to live close to that market and my school was also close to the market, so it was in close proximity, and I avoided buying stuff from the supermarket unless I'm really in need, and then the main market is closed, and then I go and buy a little, and then yes. But after some time I realized that it wasn't so much of a difference, like the market prices and supermarket prices, not much of a difference. And also with the whole pandemic and everything, I started focusing more on buying my stuff from supermarkets, and so that's one of the differences. Like in Ghana, if you should buy groceries from a supermarket, you're seen like, okay, you have money, I'm rich. But that's actually not the case. So that's one of the differences between buying groceries in Hungary and buying groceries in Ghana. The next thing I like to talk about has to do with traveling. Okay, so generally, in my opinion, I think it's much cheaper, much easier and less stressful to travel within Hungary, outside Hungary, or basically within the Schengen region, okay, compared to Ghana. Traveling within Ghana can be stressful because of the nature of the roads. Some of the roads are not so maintained, some have potholes, some are dusty, some have not been tarred, they are just in their natural state, and it's difficult to maneuver. Sometimes a journey which ideally should take 2 hours in Ghana would take 3 to 4 hours. Yes, I am saying that here, but it's quite the opposite in Hungary. For example, if I need to go from, let's say, this city in Hungary to that city in Hungary, I know it will take me, say, an hour. Google Maps tells me it's going to take an hour. What's that? I'm actually going to get there in an hour. Say again? Because the roads are very more maintained and they are smooth. I don't think I've experienced any potholes here, and so it's easier to travel within Hungary. And also when it comes to traveling to other countries outside Hungary, like Austria, Poland, France, Italy, it's also much easier and also less expensive, to be honest. I watched a video of their Champon family, and she was talking about how much it would cost her to travel from Ghana to Togo, which shares border with Ghana literally, and how price she mentioned would have cost her to go by flight. My goodness, it was something else. She couldn't go through the land borders because of the COVID situation. It was closed and it was too expensive. That notwithstanding, traveling within West Africa is very expensive. Traveling from one African country to another country, even if you share border with the country, it's more expensive than even traveling from Hungary to, let's say, France, or traveling from Hungary to Italy. It's really more expensive to travel within Ghana and within the within Ghana, within West Africa, than in the Schengen region and within Hungary, because the nature of their roads is good and they have systems in place. I think they have more experience in these things than Ghana, I would say. So they have systems in place which have also been in place for a long time, and so they know how to go about some of these things. Okay, like I've mentioned in my previous videos, when you are traveling to another Schengen country, there's very little hassle, even though Ghana also has the ECOWAS and the OAU with other African countries. It's not the same. It really can't be compared to traveling within the Schengen region or traveling within the EU, it's much easier, it's less stressful. You can just get your Ryan, you can just get your Wizz Air, 15 euros, you're in Italy or you're in France, you know, you can go and come back under less than 50 euros for flights alone. But in Ghana it's different. The whole hassle at the airport, like even some people can be harassed at the airport. Like you get to a Ghanaian airport or you get to another African airport and then somebody's asking you for money. Like money to do what? Do I know you? Do you know what I did to get this money? Do you know what I'm going through and you want me to give you money?
Why are you coming too close to me? Why? Do I know you?
But nobody does that when you get to Hungary or when you're traveling to another Schengen country. Like I remember the time I traveled, so there was a demarcation for non-Schengen arrivals and Schengen arrivals, and they were like, if you're a Schengen arrival, just use this route. And then I used that route because I had the Schengen document, and I just passed through that route, and the next thing I realized, I was on the street. Like nobody questioned me, nobody asked me anything. But it was in Ghana. I understand that protocols have to be observed, I'm not disputing that part, but sometimes some people are not so understanding and then they want to extort from you, and it's really not the best situation. So that's one of the differences. So I don't want this video to be so long. I may do a part 2 because there's so many more differences I'd like to talk about. I'm going to leave this here, not going to make this video so long. So I hope you like, comment, share, subscribe. That notwithstanding, in spite of everything I've said, I really miss Ghana. I really love Ghana. Ghana is home, and my heart and my body, my soul would always belong to Ghana. And Charlie, when it comes to Ghana and the chilling and the fun and the music and the food and the people, I beg, nobody compares. Yeah. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let go and let God, and I'll see you in my next one. Until then, bye.